A very good afternoon to all the viewers. So today we will be talking about some of the basics of trigonometry in a very nutshell, so that the students are being benefited. So the concepts will be relevant for the students of class 10 standard. Now, when we talk about trigonometry, trigonometry is a branch of mathematics which helps us to find various distances as well as applications in various parts of science. So suppose, for example, if I want to find the height of a tower, of a building, or maybe if I want to find the angle which is required for projection from one particular point to, let's say, to a tower or a building which is present, then trigonometry comes very much handy. Now, not going into the depths of trigonometry, let us try to understand what are the things which is required for knowing the basics of trigonometry. So, whenever we say trigonometry, trigonometry is divided into two parts. Trigono means triangle and metry means measure. So, basically, we are finding the measurement of a triangle. All right. Now, let us consider we have a triangle here. Let's say PMA or AMP. Now, in trigonometry, you have to remember that whatever work or operations we will do, it will be with respect to a right angle triangle. That means one of the angle of a triangle must be 90 degree. So here angle M is taken to be 90 degree, and PMA, triangle PMA or AMP, has been taken to be a right angle triangle. Now, some of the terms that we must be familiar with trigonometry are the three terms which is very important. First term is hypotenuse. So hypotenuse from our junior class, we already know it is the longest side of a triangle. So let's say out here, how do we find the hypotenuse? Hypotenuse will always be the side which is opposite to the 90 degree of the triangle. So let's say PMA is 90 degrees. So side opposite to this one is AP. So AP will be my hypotenuse, which is the longest side of the triangle. Then perpendicular. Perpendicular is nothing but, you can say, let us try to understand from this perspective. Let's say, for example, I am standing at point A. Now, from point A, I am making an angle of theta, okay, with respect to the top of a tower. Let's say PM is the tower. So with respect to the tower PM, I am making an angle of how much? Theta. That means whenever I will be viewing, I'll be viewing from this point with an angle of theta. All right. So if suppose the angle of inclination of A, that is me, is theta, then in that case, the side opposite to theta will be PM, that is the perpendicular, and the side on which the right angle triangle stands, that is AM, will be my base. Okay. So once again, I'm saying if theta is the angle of inclination, okay, then the side opposite to theta, PM, will be my perpendicular, and the side on which the right angle triangle will stand, okay, that AM, that will become my base. Okay, so if theta is here, okay, and if suppose we are to categorize the sides, then in that case, PM will be my perpendicular, AM will be my base, and AP will be my hypotenuse. Hypotenuse will be the same, okay, for from wherever point we are viewing the triangle. Now, suppose in place of A, I view the triangle from P. So in that case, from P, if I look here, then AM will be my perpendicular. Why? Because the side opposite to the angle of inclination is my perpendicular, and the side on which the right angle triangle stands, that means PM, will become my base. So in this case, if we view from A, then PM is my perpendicular and AM is my base. And if I view from PM, then AM is my perpendicular and PM will be my base. So that is the only thing that we need to know. Now, when we solve any trigonometric ratios, then 6 of the ratios we need to know. Now, these are proven and tested ratios which we need to know. Now, the thing is that we need to know only the first two ratios. We need to remember it nicely. The other ratios just follows. Okay. So how is that? Let us see. Sine is given by perpendicular by hypotenuse. Cos is given by, or cosine, the full form, is given by base of hypotenuse. So in this example, if you see, sine of theta, okay, so sine of theta is perpendicular by hypotenuse, it is y by x. Y is the measurement of PM, and x is the measurement of AM. The measurement can be any unit. Okay. Then similarly, cosine of theta or cos of theta is base by hypotenuse. So if I look here, base from here is x and hypotenuse is r. So it will be x by r in that way. Okay, like sine was perpendicular by hypotenuse y by r. So cos of theta will be base by hypotenuse x by r. Similarly, tan theta or tangent of theta will is nothing but ratio of sine and cos. So what are we having in sine and cos? Perpendicular by hypotenuse and base by hypotenuse. So if we divide the first with the second, hypotenuse will get cancelled and we will get perpendicular by base. Then cosecant theta or cosec theta is the reverse of sine. So sine, what will be having? Perpendicular by hypotenuse. So cosec, I said that is the reverse of sine. So it will be just the reverse of sine, that is hypotenuse by perpendicular. Similarly, secant of theta is reverse of cosine of theta or cos of theta. So if this is base by hypotenuse, then the reverse of this one will be what? Hypotenuse by base. Then similarly, cotangent theta or cot of theta is what? Is reverse of tan. So tan we already know it is perpendicular by base. So how do we get cot or cotangent of theta? Base by perpendicular. Okay. These values directly I have taken it from the triangle that I have described. Okay. So we just have to put the values. Okay. One thing only you have to remember, that if you know sine and cosine, okay, how you have to remember that sine is perpendicular by base and cosine is based by hypotenuse, but others like tangent or tangent is sine by cos, so hypotenuse will get cancelled and we'll get perpendicular by base. Cosecant I said is the reverse of sine. So if sine is perpendicular by hypotenuse, cosecant will be hypotenuse by perpendicular. Sec theta or secant of theta is reverse of cosine. So if this is base by hypotenuse, this will become hypotenuse by base. And cotangent, as usual, as I said, it is the reverse of tan. So if tan is perpendicular by base, then cotangent will become base by perpendicular. So I think that it's clear. Please write down, because these ratios will be very, very important for you for solving the questions. Now, let me take this one NCERT question, which is there in the NCERT class 10 textbook. So what is the question? Let us read and let us try to understand. Now, in triangle ABC, so I have made this triangle ABC. Initially, don't write anything, okay? Just you draw a triangle ABC and it is right angled at B. So A, B, C, or I can write A, B, C. That way also I can write, but B should be in between because it is right angled at B. So that thing we have to write. Then AB is given by how much? 24. So AB is given to be 24. I have put it. BC is how much? 7. BC is how much? 7. Now there are two parts of the question. One is I have to find sine A cos A, and the second one is I have to find sine C cos C. So first let me go for the first part, that is the angle of inclination is what? A. So first part, let me first solve for sine A and cos A. So I have to know the formulae, right? Sine is how much? Perpendicular by hypotenuse. Cos is how much? Base by hypotenuse. If you don't trust me, you can check here, right? So sine is perpendicular by hypotenuse. Cos is base by hypotenuse. Okay. So when I write sine A is equal to perpendicular by hypotenuse, I have to first identify that which one is my perpendicular. So as I said that the side opposite to the angle of inclination will be my perpendicular. So this will be my perpendicular. That is BC is my perpendicular, but BC is already given in question. I've already put that is 7. Then hypotenuse, which one is hypotenuse? The side opposite to angle B, which will be my hypotenuse, which is the longer side, right? But do I know hypotenuse? No. Question, it is not given. So I have to find hypotenuse then. Now, how do we find hypotenuse? It is quite simple. Because it is a right angle triangle, I can use Pythagoras theorem to find the side which is unknown. Now, according to Pythagoras theorem, we know that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So let's see, I have used that same concept. In right angle triangle ABC, the square of the hypotenuse, what is my hypotenuse? AC square is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. The sum means plus, isn't it? Plus sum of the squares. So squares of the other two sides. That means the remaining sides leaving the hypotenuse. So this is the equation that I have framed. Now after this, it is quite simple because I just have to put the value. So I have to find AC square. So AC square will be like that. AB is how much? 24. So 24 but squared. BC is how much? 7, 7 but it's squared. So accordingly, it will be this way. So 24 square, how do we find? We multiply 24 into 24. If you multiply, you will see that it is 576. And if you multiply 7 square, it will be 7 into 7, which is 49. So if I add these two, how much do I get? 625. So AC square is equal to 625. Okay, so throughout I have written AC square because that equality has to be maintained. Okay, now AC square is equal to 625. So when I take the square on the right hand side, then the square will be transformed into square root. So what is square root of 625? From junior class knowledge, we know that whenever we have to solve square root, then the number which is there inside, it should be a perfect square. So I see that 25 is the perfect square of 625. So hence the square root of 625 is how much? 25 centimeters. Now let me find sine A because I have to find sine A and cos A. So sine A is given by perpendicular by hypotenuse and cos A is given by base by hypotenuse. So perpendicular is how much here? Perpendicular is BC, so 7 by hypotenuse. Just now I found it is 25, so 7 by 25. Cos again, what was the formula? Base by hypotenuse. So what is my base here? AB, 24 and hypotenuse is 25. So 24 by 25. So the similar way what have I said, sine is 7 by 25 and cos is 24 by 25. So this is how we solve the first part of the question. Now, coming to the second part of the question, we see that in the second part of the question, we also again we have to do the same thing, find sine C and cos C part. The main difference here is that the angle of inclination is changed from A to C. That has to be taken care very, very minutely because when the angle of inclination changes, then the parameters like perpendicular and base also changes. How does it change? So I have drawn the same triangle again, but from C's point of view. So if you look here, if C is here, then automatically the side opposite to C will be my perpendicular, and the side which is contributing or standing to the right angle triangle will become my base. So this becomes my base and this becomes my perpendicular. So sine C is given by what? Sine C is given by perpendicular by hypotenuse. So perpendicular is how much? 24 and hypotenuse is 25. Then similarly, if I have to find the cos of this angle, it will be what? Base by hypotenuse. So base is how much? 7 and hypotenuse is 25. So this way I solve both the parts of the question. We see that whenever the angle of inclination changes, then the perpendicular and base side also changes. So we have to take care and remember that thing very, very minutely. One more thing we have seen is that the hypotenuse will remain the same throughout wherever will be the angle of inclination. Okay, so that part we have to keep in mind. Third thing we have to keep in mind that the angle of inclination can never be 90 degree. That means no one can ask us to find sine of B. Okay, either it will be sine of A or sine of C because this is already known and the side opposite to this will always be hypotenuse, which is the longest side. So I hope you have liked my session. For further session and live classes, you can contact Ms. Srimati Mala Sharma ma'am. I hope the trigonometry session was enjoyable and it could deliver the content which was required. I thank you. Have a nice day.